In 1883, meeting secretly in a caboose in Oneonta, New York, a handful of workers formed the Brotherhood of Railroad Trainmen. They want accident and sickness benefits and a decent burial for their men. So they passed the hat.
No regular insurance company will take us. We got too many accidents. Remember when my brother was crushed between the cars? Mary didn't even have the money to bury him.
Many's the man been killed on the railway and laid in a lonesome grave.
They say, let's see your hand. You're hired if you have a couple of fingers missing. Shows your experience.
Even though there is an automatic way of coupling cars together, most of the men must still step between the rolling cars and couple them by hand. Certain manufacturers find the new Trainman's Journal an ideal place to advertise.
To the Trainman's Journal. Is it not possible, brothers, for the lives of trainmen to be made at least as safe as those of soldiers in battle?
By 1893, the membership of the Brotherhood has risen to 30,000. They are hard-working, hard-fighting, and hard-playing.
Dear Trainman's Journal, one word of praise to the boys of our lodge. They are grand and noble boys, and they are always ready to lend a helping hand. With best wishes to the B of RT boys, Pansy. P, if you stop your girls from going to parties, where do you expect your boys to spend their evenings? If they cannot spend them with the girls, they will go elsewhere.
Elsewhere. Like to see Little Egypt at the Chicago World's Fair. For this is the turn of the century, the years of the wasp waist and the bare shoulder, the gay 90s. And they are indeed good times for some. But bad times have arrived again for most Americans. Another depression has hit. The unemployed applying for work at the Pullman Palace Car Company just outside of Chicago learn that before they can get a job, they will be forced to rent one of the houses owned by Pullman and pay his high rents. George Pullman has designed the only sleeping car used by all the railroads. He has also built for his 5,000 workers and their families this company town, a model town in his view. His workers have a slightly different view. For behind this company town's gracious facade, they really live in bleak poverty.
We live in a Pullman house, buy our food from the Pullman Star. We're taught in the Pullman school, catechized in the Pullman church. And when we die, we shall go to the Pullman hell.
Well, I think I'm there already. After they take out for the rent and the food for my 2 weeks' wages, I get handed 9 cents. 9 cents.
When Pullman, with $26 million of reserve profits, cuts wages without cutting the high rents, the men strike.
Brothers, we do not know what the outcome will be, and in fact, we do not care much. We do know that we are working for less wages than will maintain our families, and on that proposition, we absolutely refuse to work any longer.
Their call for help is answered by the new American Railway Union, which hopes to unite all railroad workers. Their president is Eugene V. Debs.
Enough of that old paternalism. What can we do for labor? That is the language of the slave block. A more manly query is, what can labor do for itself? We can unite!
The men declare a sympathy boycott. They will continue to work all trains except those carrying Pullman cars. But the railroad strategy is to create a national emergency that will bring the government in to smash the union. So they put Pullman cars on all trains, even freight and mail, forcing the strike to spread. 125,000 railroad men all over the country now go out. Traffic stops dead on all lines west of Chicago. Never has there been a national strike of such magnitude. Debs gives strict orders.
Remember, no violence. We must triumph as law-abiding citizens or not at all.
Management convinces President Cleveland that only federal troops can guarantee the delivery of the mails and preserve peace. Over the protests of Illinois Governor Altgeld, the troops move in. Ex-convicts and drifters have been put in uniforms. Guns will now run the trains. The result is inevitable. Yet it is the law itself that deals them the cruelest blow.
The growth of labor organization must be checked by law. A national railroad strike is illegal. We must prevent interference with interstate commerce. Injunction granted.
Men, the injunction says we are forbidden to answer questions, to send telegrams, to tell anybody to join the boycott. Otherwise, we go to jail.
Whatever happened to freedom of speech?
Debs is jailed. Hearing of this, Clarence Darrow, a railroad corporation lawyer, leaves his job.
I'm defending Gene Debs. The conspiracy between the federal government and the railroad corporation is too much for my weak stomach.
But the forces allied against them are too strong. The Pullman strike is lost, and the American Railway Union is destroyed. Gene Debs sees it differently.
No strike is ever lost. 10,000 times has the labor movement been seized by the throat and choked into insensibility. Nevertheless, its historic mission is as certain as the setting sun.
As the trains roll again, the railroads conspire to prevent the strikers from getting back their jobs. A blacklist now covers the entire nation, and it will keep union men off the railroads for years. Many must leave town and use a false name to get work. Those who do get work must sign a yellow dog contract, guaranteeing the railroads that they will never again join a union. But never is a long time.
What is that I see yonder coming, yonder coming? What is that I see yonder coming, yonder coming? It's that Union train a-coming, coming, coming. Get on board, get on board.
As the century turns, the men are secretly joining the brotherhoods by the tens of thousands, hiding their union cards in their shoes. And as the years pass, the brotherhoods grow stronger. They develop new muscle, political muscle. With it, they win new safety laws to protect them. The dangerous hand coupler is finally outlawed. And by 1916, driving with all their power, the brotherhoods achieve their long-fought-for dream. A special law giving the 8-hour day to railroad workers. The work is still hard and dangerous, but trainmen are trainmen, and to them the sound of the rails is still the sweetest song in the world.
Look yonder coming. Come down that railroad line. Look yonder coming. Come down that railroad line. Is the Lord boss so special? Come to the station on time.
But the men find their new 8-hour law is a bitter joke. Management simply refuses to honor it, and the hours stay long. Trouble brews. But there is far greater trouble in store for all Americans. War has engulfed Europe. The war to end all wars. Knowing we are soon to enter the conflict, President Wilson nationalizes the railroads. The government now enforces the 8-hour law. Management's objections are forgotten as America's sons go to war.
Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drums coming everywhere.
But many Americans believe our boys don't belong over there. For opposing the war, Eugene V. Debs is sentenced to jail.
We now realize that it's extremely dangerous to exercise the constitutional right of free speech in a country fighting to make democracy safe for the world.
While still in jail, Debs runs for president on the socialist ticket. Americans give him an astonishing 1 million votes. After 3 years, he is pardoned. To the end of his days, he remains, as always, a man ahead of his times.
I am opposed to every war but the war of social revolution.
And the Brotherhoods fight hard to win their kind of social revolution. In 1926, for the first time in history, they get Congress to pass a law requiring railway management to bargain with unions. The blacklist is finally outlawed. This Railway Labor Act is a milestone, which sets a pattern that will later help bring the same benefits to all workers. At last, the bloodshed and bitterness of the past seems to have forged a new dignity for this generation of railroad workers.
We are about to inaugurate a 24-hour service between the Newark Airport and Los Angeles. The containers held by the ladies contain ice cream, milk, and other foodstuffs, and will be there in time to be eaten tomorrow morning.
Over the passenger trains that cut across the country, the airplane casts its speeding shadow. But the railroads aren't taking this new competition too seriously. In fact, nobody takes anything too seriously these days. Help! And who are the heroes of the movies? Why, trains and trainmen, of course, as America takes a wild ride through the 20s. 1929, the wild ride is over. The wounds of the Great Depression begin to scar almost every American. Hunger stalks the land. Men leave their homes, their farms, their families, riding the freights all over the country, desperately searching for a job. And riding with them are thousands of out-of-work trainmen, now part of this human cargo, shipped endlessly back and forth with no point of destination.
It is vitally essential, if we are to protect the public of Southern California, that the indigent transient class be prevented from coming into this state. They are coming here at this time not for the purpose of securing work, but for the purpose of living on relief, stealing, or begging. We have taken the action that we believe will be effective in preventing this class entering the state of California hereafter.
I think we better hold this fella here for investigation. Yeah, we'll hold him for investigation. All right, boy, come on, we'll get over here. Now, you just wait there. Where's your home? Chicago. You ride a freight all the way from Chicago? Yes, sir. Well, you can ride them back, too, or any way you can to get back. We're going to see you over the state line. Don't come back to California until you can come in like a man.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt now calls for a new deal, and the nation begins to pull itself together. Once more, it's back to work. Good times, bad times, beer and champagne times. It's quite a country.
But
And as America gets back on her feet, she really begins to roll. These are the glory years of the great passenger trains. All the blood and guts of the past are fuel for them as they thunder and roar across the land. symbolizes the tradition and muscle that shaped young America. And now the people hear them trumpet the promise of tomorrow as America plunges into the future. We're moving on. Sure, the danger is still there. But there's more to it than that, a lot more. Looking back, we know that out of our yesterdays has come the strength of today.
Ride a Union train on a Union track, heading for tomorrow, and we don't look back. We're moving on. We're moving on. It's time to go, so let the drivers roll. We're moving on.